Hello and welcome to this week's edition of A Conversation with Musa Wa Laikipia. We continue to talk about how do we talk to our children and young people about the issues of relationships, sex, and sexuality. The research that has been done shows that children and young people want to talk with their parents and caregivers about relationships and sexuality, like we said yesterday. Many parents or caregivers are unsure. They don't know where to start, or they may feel uncomfortable about having these kind of conversations. And ladies and gentlemen, avoiding the subject will not stop your children from having sex or keeping them safe. If you are uncomfortable, don't panic. That is why I'm here. There are so many useful tools available to help you, and one of them is A Conversation with Musa Wa Laikipia. If children and young people are given accurate information about their bodies, relationships, the issues of sex and sexuality, they are more likely to make safer choices as they become adults. Being able to talk about these things gives the parent and the caregivers an opportunity to discuss their own values about relationships, sex, and sexuality. How and when do we start talking about relationships, sex, and sexuality to our children, to our teenagers, and to our youth? I want to say this. It is normal to feel awkward or unsafe when talking with your children or your teenagers about sex. Most adults feel this way when they start this conversation. You will become more confident with time and practice. And this week we share a few tips on the principles to help you to start this or to have this conversation. Number one, you start the conversations early and keep talking to your children as they get older. Children learn about relationships, sex, and sexuality, like we said yesterday, from the moment they are born. Very young, children get messages from adults about their bodies, this including learning the words that describes their body parts and functions, and important concepts about public and private body parts and behaviors. And it is normal for young people or young children to be open and curious about their bodies and these, and some of these topics. Try to use the correct terminology for private body parts. This will help you, or this will help the young people to reduce anxiety and shame, while also allowing children more effectively to ask questions about their body parts, and report to a trusted adult if something is not right. As your child gets older, continue these conversations as opportunities arise and before they become critical. It is the best, to be proactive rather than reactive, such as talking about puberty, such as talking about the changes that are happening in your child. Healthy, respectful relationship before your child is likely to be exposed to, things like pornography and those kind of things. Also, the issues of safe sex before your child becomes sexually active. It is very important to discuss these things. Then number two, be the one they ask for advice. You as a parent or a caregiver, be the one that these children ask for advice. If children know that they will get an accurate answer to their questions about relationships, sex, and sexuality, they are more likely to ask you as a parent for advice at home. And of course, you need to be very honest and approachable, and also create an environment where asking questions are encouraged. Then number three, keep conversations casual. Talking about relationships, sex, and sexuality doesn't have to be a formal sit-down occasion. Teenagers and children do not like those sit-down, very official occasions. They can be integrated into any other conversation so that it becomes the normal part of life. Young people often want very short, direct answers to their questions. They can ask more questions as they arise. With experience as a youth mentor and a counselor for over 10 years, I can tell you this is a fact, that young people want very short answers, direct answers to their questions, and this will help them to want to ask even more questions. Then number four, the last one for today, start the conversations by using the cues around you. Like we said on our first episode, it is possible to use opportunities from news, current affairs, social media, advertising, songs, lyrics, books, television, and movies as chances to start a conversation about relationship, sex, and sexuality. You might also observe people around you and the natural world to begin and continue your discussions. Do not look for the right times. You can start the conversation by using the cues or, the clues around you. You don't have to wait for the child to ask questions. Be proactive and begin the conversation. You can use open-minded or open-ended questions like, what do you think you would do in this kind of a situation? And that one will get you rolling. And of course, like we said last week, the last one, a bonus point, use books and resources to explain this concept. There is no one who is a know-it-all. As a parent, you can use books, you can use the media that is around you. And of course, we have said once and again, that if as a parent you still listen to this podcast and you see, Musa, this topic is still hard, talk to us. Bring your teenagers to us. We are planning even an online mentorship program where we can talk about these issues with your teenagers. Parents, you need to invest in this. You can also support this podcast and say, Musa, I would want you to bring on board 15 teenagers and I will support that program, and that one will be more than useful to us. We also do professional counseling. Bring your young people to us and we will be more than glad to have that professional conversation with you as a parent as well as your teenagers. In our next podcast, we'll talk about preparing to talk about relationships, sex, and sexuality with your child and what you're supposed to do in this. This is a conversation with Musa Wa Laikipia. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for subscribing and also sending this podcast to other people. Let's keep talking, because the moment we stop talking will be the moment that we start fighting. Thank you for listening. God bless you. See you next time.